You are hearing this voice for the first and last time. My name was Margarita Sergeyevna, and this recording is my voice from the void. My sentence was 10 years in the camps, but the real sentence was passed on me not by the court in 1937, but by a man named Ivan Kravtsov, a guard, the one who was supposed to lead me to my death. On the first night of the journey, he leaned so close that I could smell cheap tobacco and snow, and whispered, "Be silent about everything you see and hear. You will survive. Otherwise, you will die here too, but sooner." I thought it was a threat. I didn't know it was a prayer, and that in his pocket lay not my file, but a photograph of a woman who was my exact double, his sister, and also an encrypted message from headquarters, which listed not my name, but a number, Object Veronica, to be liquidated during transit, blame to be placed on the geologist. In the prisoner transport car there were 40 souls and one secret. The geologist, a saboteur embedded in our transport column. The guards were looking for him, and he, likely, was looking for me, because the denunciation against me was no accident. I taught French to the children of high-ranking officials. I might have accidentally overheard things I shouldn't have. Someone decided I was the weak link who knew too much, but what exactly, I couldn't remember. That was the first riddle. Foma, a career criminal, became my shadow. But one day, when he tried again to take my boots, Kravtsov didn't just drag him away. He whispered something in his ear, and the face of Foma, that hardened wolfhound, twisted with pure animal fear. From that minute, Foma didn't just back off. He became my silent guardian, covertly warding off others. What could Kravtsov have said to him? I didn't learn that then. I learned much later, and that knowledge turned everything upside down. At one of the stops, they added a new prisoner to our car, a young priest, Father Alexei, fragile with a spiritual face. He whispered prayers, and it was calming. I began to trust him. One night he passed me a crumpled note. "Sister, beware of the guard. He is not who he claims to be. He has his own scores to settle." This planted a seed of doubt. What if Kravtsov is the geologist? What if his game is just a clever way to get rid of all witnesses? I started watching closely, and I noticed a strangeness. Kravtsov changed his foot wraps too often, unwound them every evening as if checking something. Once, when the wind tore the cloth from his hands, I saw not dirty fabric, but the edge of a map, covered in markings. It wasn't a map of our route. It was a plan of some facility, and on it was that same mark, Veronica. I made a desperate move. I passed him a note. "I know about Veronica. I want to live." That same night by the fire, he was colder than ever. "Foolishness," he snapped. "Now you've truly become a target." But his eyes said something else, a flicker of excitement. He realized I wasn't just a victim. I could be a tool. He revealed part of the truth. The geologist was not a saboteur. It was a legend, a cover for an NKVD operation to liquidate undesirables right during transit. His task was to find the real geologist, a turned agent who was traveling with us, and trying to save people like me. That is, someone else was supposed to save me, and Kravtsov had been ordered to find that someone and liquidate me. We made a pact of silence. He would deflect the official order from me, and I would help identify the true savior. It was then that Father Alexei, our quiet priest, disappeared. He was found in the morning in a snowdrift by the forest. In his hand he clutched my button. All eyes turned to me. It was the perfect frame-up. I was isolated. Even Foma averted his eyes. Kravtsov conducted the interrogation with an icy face. Everything was going according to plan, his plan. In the chaos of accusations, he managed to secretly slip into my hand a small, sharp as a razor shard of mirror and a scrap of newspaper with an address in Krasnoyarsk. "If you survive, find her," flashed in his gaze. Everything collapsed when at a stop in Nizhny-Yudensk, a courier from headquarters appeared. He brought a new order, and, handing the paper to Kravtsov, he asked loudly, for the whole camp to hear, "So, Comrade Kravtsov, is Veronica prepared for liquidation? We await the signal." Everything froze. The order for my destruction had been announced publicly. Now every prisoner, every guard knew I was doomed. And in that second, the most unthinkable person stepped from the crowd. It was the quiet elderly librarian, Yefim Zakharovich. He stepped forward and said clearly, "Comrade officer, you cannot liquidate her, because I am the geologist, and her death will be the signal to my people that your entire operation has failed." It was a genius move. He took my legend upon himself. The courier was stunned, and Kravtsov, seizing the moment of confusion, sharply commanded, "Arrest them both, in solitary cells, guards about face." In the commotion, he shoved me towards Foma, hissing, "Run to the sledges, now." What happened next? A deafening cannonade of shots, shouts, pursuit. Foma, who turned out to be not a criminal at all, but a former sniper whom Kravtsov had once saved, downed 3 men covering our escape. We raced into the night on stolen sledges. Kravtsov was wounded in the side, blood soaking through his greatcoat. He didn't speak of the pain. He only said, "The address. Do you remember it? There, my Nadia. Tell her." I couldn't, but I tried. He diverted the pursuit, turning onto a frozen river. I saw him alive for the last time, a lone figure on the ice, illuminated by truck lights, raising his rifle. The shots rang out only after I was in the woods. I survived. A month later, half dead, I reached that address in Krasnoyarsk. The door was opened by a woman with my face, his sister. She hadn't perished in 35. They had hidden her. "He wasn't atoning for guilt," she said, looking at his photo. "He was atoning for a choice. His real surname was not Kravtsov, and in 1937, they gave him a task, to find and liquidate me, his own sister, as an enemy of the people. He refused, and he became Kravtsov. Your photograph in his file was bait to lure me out of hiding. He wasn't leading you to Siberia. He was leading a ghost, and he saved a living woman." She fell silent, and I finally understood the whisper in the prisoner car. It wasn't an order. It was the plea of a soldier who chose desertion from dishonor to remain a human being. Be silent, and survive, so that one day you could tell. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Now it's your turn. What do you think was the biggest lie in this story? The fact that the geologist was a savior, or that the guard was a traitor, or something else? I await your guesses in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, share it, because the truth survives only when it is heard.